Hi, this is Ryan, and I have a remarkable story that we need to share with you. It's a testimony of living prophecy, incredible animal intelligence, and real communication with angels. In this documentation, we will demonstrate miraculous events that we have witnessed and been involved in firsthand, and you'll be able to witness them yourself through these presentations. This is for those who have an interest and would like to have proof of angels, spirit guides, and the afterlife. Understanding your gifts and the gifts of others often requires an open mind, so stand by for an incredible journey in the first of many presentations that prove God and the angels exist.
My name is Linda. As Ryan's wife, I have also been witnessing and participating in many aspects of this incredible journey for the past 10 years. At that time, I became involved with a group of people who were working with Ryan during the initial stages of finding context in Budgie's speech. As things progressed, it snowballed into many different but related areas that we needed to fully understand before we could take it any further. This is our testimony of the events that took place with the documentation that supports our findings.
We call this project the Angel Scrolls. It began as a study of mysterious communications we were receiving while recording budgies that were communicating to us in sophisticated conversational language. No matter how impossible it seemed, these communications demonstrated a higher intelligence that far exceeded any animal previously known. Did you know that budgies have consistently been shown to have the largest vocabulary of any parrot, or as far as that goes, any animal other than humans? A recent study posted on Daily Mail UK says this: budgerigars, as a member of the parrot family, have long been known to be able to mimic human speech, but now researchers have found that their brains are also able to pick out abstract patterns in language. This makes the birds the first non-human species to be able to grasp simple language, according to the new study. Our observations are that they can go much further than this and develop full-blown speech at a phenomenal rate. It led us into thousands of hours of research in an area that was basically untouched by science. It's also intensified our interest in religion and a desire to have a better understanding of spirituality and the quantum world. We came to learn how it interacts, causing miracles that you'll be able to witness in real time.
Did you ever wonder how intelligent animals can be, what they are thinking, and if they are sentient like humans? If we were only capable of hearing their thoughts, then we would know for sure. Parrots, and especially budgies, are the only animals that can really tell us, because they can learn how to speak our language. Until now, mainstream science claims that budgies only mimic speech. The impact of this research may change that dogma forever.
Perhaps you're not sure if there is a God or heaven. Maybe you love someone that recently passed on and wonder if you could somehow connect to them. What if you could witness something that would give you the proof that a true connection still does exist? What you're about to discover relating to the everlasting soul may change your perception of the truth and provide the proof you need too.
There are millions of people in this world who practice some form of religion and often confuse it with spirituality. In principle, being spiritual means things that pertain to the soul or higher being. There's only one truth about things pertaining to the everlasting soul. As we know, there are many different forms of religion, and many have the same beliefs about the everlasting soul. In short, religion is something you are taught, and church is somewhere where you go to be with others who have the same religious beliefs you do. Spirituality, and being spiritual, is how you walk with God and the angels the rest of the time. How would you like to know the truth about the eternal soul and the spirituality of God from beginning to end? We often need to witness the experience ourselves, rather than just blindly believing in something that we've been taught or brought up to believe.
Many of the leading religions of the world believe that prophecy ended in the time of Jesus, and anyone who continues to make prophecy after Jesus is a false prophet. Some even believe it is a sin to be a prophet or predict future events. What if prophecy is still alive and God continues to work his miracles through them? We will provide documentation and examples of prophecy happening right now within this study. The prophetic messages we receive and document through our angelic sources come to fruition on a consistent basis, and we will demonstrate the entire process as we move forward in other presentations.
This research will also be linked to dreams and visions, and how God and the angels can communicate to us through them. We will observe how dreams come from the metaphysical and spiritual world, and not just from our own mind. We will demonstrate how prophetic dreams can produce miracles. We will provide examples through this unique process of not only past events which occurred during the study, but future events which will happen again as more people begin to participate in this project.
As I mentioned before, I've been researching and documenting Budgie speech for almost 20 years. During the first 10 years, I led an extensive study with approximately 20 others, determining without doubt that Budgies were communicating at a highly intelligent and sentient level. When we began to observe that these same Budgies wanted to communicate their spiritual beliefs about God and the afterlife, it changed our direction substantially. Our lack of understanding split the group, and I decided to concentrate on the source they claimed to be connected to. I wanted to know for sure that the information we were receiving came from God, so I spent the next 10 years or so seeking the truth. I knew that, like me, there would be others who needed to understand why it was happening. This led me to develop a confirmation process, which measured a number of events that needed to happen in order to know beyond doubt that the communications were coming from a godly source. I'm not talking about miracles that weren't related to what we were doing, but ones that resulted directly from the research and communications that myself and others were receiving at the time.
The first part of the confirmation process was understanding and documenting the information that was being given in the audio and video files. Our research showed that even though we could not understand everything the Budgies were saying at that time, there was a significant amount that related to spirituality and God. We knew that we had not taught our Budgies to say these things, and they were being verified by other Budgies Ryan was working with. As he worked, day after day and year after year, understanding and captioning the recordings, his understanding began to evolve, and countless examples of his Budgies talking fluently and speaking their own thoughts were documented. The recordings and videos also contained electronic voice phenomena, which included angelic voices and even signs of apparitions. There were times when Victor seemed to know what was going to happen in the video before it happened, leaving Ryan to suspect that Victor had somehow seen the video before it was actually made. You too will be able to witness this as we go over some of the videos during future presentations.
Second part of the confirmation process were the prophecies. They began with the recordings of Victor, and often related to things that would happen to myself and other people who I was working with during the research. He predicted events that would happen to the world in the future, and why we needed a connection to God and his angels that could help humanity survive. The events that Victor talked about were not prophecies of destruction, but prophecies of survival, and ways that humanity could prevent or prepare for them. Some of his predictions back in 2001 about catastrophic weather events are clearly happening now. Other predictions about how people would react to the research when we tried to convince people he was communicating intelligently happened exactly as he described them. He knew that this would be a hard process and said other Budgies would come to me and continue where we left off. Although not all of the prophecies came true as he predicted timing-wise, a significant amount did, showing that he had a substantial knowledge and understanding of future events. Dreams and visions within our group that were involved in the early research demonstrated an unexpected connection to what the Budgies were saying. Similar dreams came to more than one participant at a time and followed in a sequence that seemed to show an intelligent force sending them. They even contained prophecy and predictions that were later verified by future events. Some events were prophesied within days of the event happening. The symbolism within the dreams were explained in private sessions that I received from the spiritual world, and additional prophecies were made from those receivals. Along with the prophecies in the dream transcriptions came divine lessons that focused on reversing evil thinking or religious evil within the group or culture it pertained to. A large percentage of the dream transcriptions and prophecies were backed up by future events in newspaper articles or things that happened later in the news. Many people think that dreams only come from one source, and that is in our own mind. Unfortunately, that doctrine has prevented humans from really understanding their real purpose and meaning. We learned at an early stage in the research that God would answer any questions we had and personally connect to us through dreams and visions that would be sent from the spiritual world. We also experienced these visions, sometimes in the form of a clear image in our mind, so we could vividly recall and put it down on paper. Along with the dreams and visions came feelings and emotions we experienced during them, or actual apparitions that someone would be able to document within the group. At the same time, members within our group began to take pictures that would show a high concentration of orbs or other anomalies that were not visible to the human eye. We were told that the budgies had a natural bond to God and the angels, where they could channel information in miraculous ways, much like they did in the time of Adam and Eve.
So how are dreams and visions related to the metaphysical? The word metaphysical comes from ancient Greek words that are a combination of two words, meta, meaning over and beyond, and physics, which is the science of matter and energy and how all things work together. It can be any one or a combination of the following: dreams, visions, philosophy, religion, parapsychology, mysticism, ESP, and more. The same chemical reactions and wave patterns that happen all around us, including the spiritual world, also happen in the metaphysical and the dream world. However, in the dream world, they happen at a much more intensified level than the physical world. For example, have you ever had a dream that lasted for a long time and found when you woke up you were only sleeping for a few minutes? Or have you ever experienced an emotion such as love in a dream that was many more times powerful than you ever experienced in the waking state? The metaphysical is also connected to the quantum world in ways that we could only imagine. Science has only touched the surface when it comes to understanding the metaphysical and how it could benefit humanity in the future.
In the last part of this video, we would like to show you first how incredible Victor's sense of humor was. A while back, I put a bunch of Victor's short recordings together and made a compilation of his funny clips. Keep in mind that these recordings were made in his first year, just as he was beginning to talk. Even at that point, he was interjecting much of his own thoughts in the mimicries I was teaching him. As we go through these funny clips, I will let you know what parts I taught him and what parts he interjected on his own. You may not believe me in the beginning that he was not taught to say these things. However, we are confident that as you go through his many videos, the quotes here will be backed up later with the actual audio-video files. The few quotes we showed you in this video are only a fraction of what he said from longer videos, where he spoke in complete context for long periods of time. So it is hard to ignore he fully understood what he was saying. On top of that, there are the quantum reversals, which would be impossible to fabricate or teach him to say because the phrases are mixtures of forward and backward speech. This first clip is quite incredible and something he made up totally on his own. I had to go through it many times to get it all. In it, he laughs and says, "If you like much of these, you'll just laugh." He laughs again and says, "Which I've been taught." I think he's referring to some of the mimicries that he predicts I'll be compiling on this clip. He laughs again and says, "No shit." This was one of the only times I heard him swear. Then he says, "I'll make you laugh at me." You'll like me to laugh and see it's nuts. This is another one he made up on his own. He recites some letters from the alphabet. They don't spell anything in particular. Perhaps it's some kind of hidden code that I've not been able to decipher yet. Then at the end he says, K, cage. It's interesting that he uses the letter K as if spelling the first letter of cage, showing he sees the peculiarity of our alphabet. This is what he says. Little Victor, yes, D-I-C-E-F-G, H-I-H-S-P-K, cage.
Yes, D-I-C-E-F-G, H-I-H-S-P-K, cage.
In the next clip he says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, which of course I taught him. I probably spent a total of 1 hour teaching him to say it, so he picked it up very quickly. However, in the next part, I do not remember teaching him to say Guinness World Book of Records. I do remember talking to him about it a few times, saying that I'd try and get him in it though. In the very last part he says the Guinness World Book of Horse Talk. Perhaps he's being a little sarcastic because he never did get mentioned in it.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Guinness Book of Records. Guinness World Book of Records. Guinness Book of Stuff.
The next one is another one he made up on his own. First he says, God, I start coughing. Then he coughs. And then he says, don't talk Russian to me. I think it is probably my cough that he is imitating at the time, but I really don't remember ever saying to him, don't talk Russian to me.
Don't talk Russian to me.
In the next part he says, I say do this. He may have been making fun of the way I sometimes told my son that if I asked him to do something, he should do it. Then he says, happiness is pumpkin pie, spit in the kitty cat's eye. I never taught him to say this, but I did try and teach him the apple peaches pumpkin pie one.
I say do this. Happiness, pumpkin pie, spit in the kitty cat's eye.
In the next clip where he talks like Tweety Bird, I definitely taught him. I also taught him the knick-knack paddywhack one too, but he has his own at the end, saying, give me some cheese. He loved cheese more than almost anything else.
Give me some cheese. You want some cheese? Cheese. Cheese.
The last few clips are a few that I threw in that were combinations of things he learned on his own or I began to teach him. At the end he says that he's going to miss you. Perhaps he wanted me to use it as a closing.
Victor's this budgie. Happy to Victor. Earl Sparks smiles budgie. Welcome to What's Up, Dude? What's Up? Victor's a good issue.
Soon after Victor made these recordings, he started talking in full-blown speech and began to talk about God, the afterlife, and the angels. And we found out he had a connection to the angels, and he was passing on information to us from them. You'll be able to hear not only him, but 2 other budgies I was guardian for communicating in complex language and hidden messages as well. These presentations are in our forum at http://theangelscrolls.freeforums.net/board/18/presentations. You do not have to be a member to see the videos. However, if you're going to make a comment, please join the forum. This completes this presentation. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our new Sentinels of the Future channel, which has all the latest presentations in one place, or visit our website at theangelscrolls.com.